911, what's the address of your emergency?
I'm in my apartment. I'm at Southeast Powell.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm here. I think it's apartment number 2.
All right. And what can we help with today?
So I'm in my apartment just below that.
When people call 911, they are most likely doing so because there's a crisis, whether it's a fire, medical emergency, or a crime being committed. They need help, and they want it quickly. The Portland Police Bureau endeavors to serve our community and respond when people call for help. Every day, officers answer those calls. But how quickly we can get there depends on a lot of different factors. When talking about police response time, it's important to understand those factors that contribute to how soon officers may arrive. When you call 911, the call taker transfers your call to the appropriate dispatch. If you need a police officer, a dispatcher will take your information. That information will be put into a computer that can be seen by a police officer in his or her vehicle. Once an officer is available to take that call, they will be dispatched to respond. That is when the tracking of response time begins. But it's more complicated than just a call and dispatch. If the call involves a threat of violence, a weapon, or some other dangerous characteristic, more than one officer will respond. For instance, a report of a shooting. More officers will be needed to secure the crime scene and try to find the armed suspect. If officers are looking for a suspect that is thought to be still in the area, then sometimes canine officers are required, as well as officers to secure the perimeter. Other officers will help locate potential victims and help them get medical assistance if needed. Others might locate evidence or find and interview any potential witnesses. The seriousness of the call and the scope of the crime scene can have a big impact on the number of officers needed there. Another example might be a person in mental health crisis. For this, a number of officers could be needed.
So right now we have a mentally ill subject who's really focused on this window here, and he has a bag with his machete that's in the park here. And so what we're able to do is we're able to keep eyes on him here while we have a separate team of officers who are going out to the park, and they're going and securing that machete so that if later on we do have to take him into custody, the likelihood of force is so much lower and the potential injury to our officers is much lower. And that's what happens when you have enough officers.
Some officers would be designated to communicate with the person. Specialty trained officers with the Enhanced Crisis Intervention Team will fill this role if they are available. We know that the best way to deal with these calls is often to give the person in crisis time and distance. That allows officers to use their training, skill, and human compassion to develop rapport. During that time, additional officers respond to create a safe area, free from distractions, to protect the person as well as the public. That can take minutes or it can take several hours, but many times officers are able to convince the person to get medical help. These are just 2 examples of calls that could absorb a lot of resources during a shift. If many officers on duty are tied up on a single critical incident, that leaves fewer officers to respond to other calls. Emergency services operates on a priority system, meaning certain calls get an immediate response. For Portland Police, the top priority calls are those where someone is in danger. In-progress property calls fall behind those. Then, calls where there is no immediate danger to life and property. Officers, as they become available, will always be sent to higher priority calls first. Depending on the calls at any given time, some people may have to wait. It's not that lower priority calls are less important. We just have to distribute our resources to the greatest need at any given time. Another factor in how long a caller might wait is travel time. We have the lowest amount of sworn personnel in 25 years. This shortage means the closest available officer to a call might be several miles away. They may be crossing precinct boundaries or traveling from farther regions such as St. John's or outer Southwest Portland. One word about traveling to incidents. Even if officers are responding to an emergency with their police lights and sirens, they sometimes encounter people failing to yield. Please pull to the side and know that these officers are trying to respond to someone's emergency. It's important to yield appropriately and let them pass. We get asked a lot about our response times, but there's no industry gold standard because of the factors explained. What we do know is that if a person is feeling frightened or concerned, Those precious minutes waiting for a police officer feels like an eternity. We understand how critical this is. Officers are doing the best they can, responding to calls for service with our current resources. There are times when lower priority calls may take a while for a response. We understand these calls are important as well to the victims. We ask that you remember, response time will vary given what other emergency calls are being handled. We encourage you to call the non-emergency number when appropriate, or visit our website to see if your need is something that can be reported online. For appropriate crimes, this system has the advantage of letting victims report crimes any time of day or night and receive reports for insurance purposes much quicker. We hope this video has answered some questions about response time. For more information about the Portland Police Bureau and our staffing, please visit our website. You can also find us on our YouTube channel, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.